Hello, Psychology 211. This is your instructor, Beth Nicopolis, reporting on Chapter 6. One of the things that you'll find if you read this week's information is that while about 74% of Americans claim to believe in God, that number is actually decreasing. And in fact, in larger numbers, young Americans in particular are reporting less religious affiliation, meaning that they don't identify themselves as a particular religion, such as Methodist, Baptist, Episcopalian, Catholic, whatever the case might be. And there are various sort of philosophies about why this might be happening, but in fact, of course, we don't really know for sure why that is. So I will leave that for you to think about as you work through this week's material. However, the fastest growing religion in this country, as well as the world, is Islam. And as I'm sure you know, the Islamic religion is very misunderstood in this country, probably mainly because, one, it's a little new to us, and two, because we see so many examples of Islamic extremism who are terrorists across this world. And of course, we've been the victim of Islamic terrorists in the United States. Excuse me. One of the things that I was guilty of is misunderstanding the hijab, or the covering that Muslim women wear. I always thought that the hijab was a way to oppress Muslim women, that women were forced to wear it. But as you'll see in one of the YouTube videos, that in fact that's not the case, that it's important to some Muslim women to be as modest as possible, and they choose to wear the hijab. I have a student at the college who does the same thing. She's 18, and it was left to her whether or not to wear it. And she wears the hijab and, in fact, also covers her entire face. What you see are only her eyes. But to her, it was important for her to remain modest. But that, in fact, was 100% her choice. So that lack of understanding sometimes means stereotyping and prejudice, which also means discrimination. As you'll also see, religion is an important part of the political process that's going on all over the place right now, and it always has been. Typically, those on the left, who tend to be Democrats, tend to be, well, not Christian. They don't necessarily espouse their Christian views, and in fact, sometimes war against those evangelicals or very strong Christians that you see on the other side of the field. And then on the right, on the Republican side, those candidates tend to be to sort of flaunt their Christianity as usual, and they align themselves with things that are very Christian related. And so if you watch the news, you'll see that that's a very important part of how candidates align themselves politically, as well as with certain issues. As you know, this country was founded for religious freedom. And so, excuse me, one of the great things about it is that you can choose from so many religions in this country. So when the founding Americans came, they came because they wanted, in part, religious freedom. That resulted in constitutional protection for religious freedom. And that comes in the way of something called the Anti-Establishment Clause. And really, as most of you already know, that prevents the government from having an official religion or forcing a certain religion on its people. A lot of times there are arguments about something called the separation of church and state. And that means that in public entities or government-funded entities, such as schools, government offices, the courts, you will in fact see as little religion as possible. That causes a lot of debates. Prayer in public schools is largely forbidden, even at football games and convocations now, and so that has caused, as you know, a lot of rifts amongst people, and has for many years. Gay marriage and abortion are another couple of issues that are very much aligned by people's religious views, and I'm certain will continue to be that case. For those of you that are religious, you know that religion is powerful. And it tugs at your emotions and is a lot of times very much a part of who you are. I don't consider myself very religious, but because I was raised Greek Orthodox, for me, the Greek Orthodox Church is the way I keep my traditions alive and my ethnicity alive as well. Religion is powerful and can sometimes evoke even dangerous things. You'll see throughout history there were crusades to fight for the rights of Christianity, or jihads. You will see different religions fighting against each other for their religion to become dominant. Um, Religious fundamentalism is something that you'll see, yes, in the Christian religion as well as with Muslims around the world. Fundamentalists have such strong feelings or such strong adherence to their religion that they've sort of separated themselves from the mainstream of that religion. A lot of times that fundamentalism is sometimes politically motivated and can sometimes be dangerous. So as you read the paper in the morning, assuming you do, you'll find many examples of religious fundamentalism across the world. Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Syria is some good examples. I hope that as you read through this week's information that you'll take the time to think about how you identify and why that's important to you. Until chapter 7, I'll see you next time.